Hello, let me welcome everyone presently watching Sotnik-TV. It's 9th of May 2020 and you are watching our Saturday summary show. We're streaming live and it's 10 past 7 p.m. in Moscow. Let's begin with the topic of the day. Coming up next, see the footage of the Victory Day celebration attempt in Moscow today. I guess this short video reveals the entire picture quite well, as the most illustrative things don't usually happen in the forefront, where Vladimir Putin makes faces pretending to be in sorrow, but rather somewhere deep inside the curtains of the theater. So this was shot on May 9th right next to the building of the State Parliament, downtown Moscow. Show us your permit. You are not authorized to do this according to Article 332. Take your hands off me. As you may see, the police is acting severely. Yesterday and today are the days to commemorate those fallen in the World War II. It's time to remember the victims of that terrible massacre who were involved in that fierce standoff against fascism. These are memorial days. We must remember those times of endless grief that lasted through several generations and made different people show themselves in their true colors. There were those who became executors and those who were their victims. There were those who became avengers and those who became cannon fodder. Some of them turned out filthy hustlers and some were betrayers. There were actually many options back then. Still, all of those people got united by the war and by its conditions. Under those conditions, the people were dehumanized and forced to hate as well as to kill. They were made to do things that were unnatural for a normal person. They were turned into inhumans, murderers and villains, into bloody beasts and hordes of preppers. Personally, I consider heroes not even those who died performing a heroic act, but rather those who were able to defeat their inner demon and to remain a human. I feel sorry seeing the young generations understanding that war superficially. They think of it as of some glitz. And if the society in Russia haven't bastardized the memory of that war, we would never start a conflict in Afghanistan. I remember that under the times of Leonid Brezhnev's rule, the USSR established official victory festivities with pompous parades and shiny medals. That was something unseen before. When many veterans were still alive, they didn't let anything like that happen. They didn't want to celebrate the war, as many of them were ashamed of what they had to do during it. Any celebrations would make those stressful memories return and bring pain deep down. Still, the policy of the official lies have been spreading among the authorities since then. Let me assure you that if not for that policy, we would never have any conflict in Afghanistan, neither in Chechnya nor in Georgia. We would never have those teachers residing in Kremlin, I swear. Such things are simply impossible from the perspective of the true knowledge of history, which in fact serves the base for all current events and predetermines the future. That is what knowledge does. Even if something like that has ever happened, Let me assure you that people with knowledge and dignity would take those stitches down right after they first mentioned annexing Crimea or suggested starting Donbas conflict and bombing Ukraine. Such a hard topic for such a hard day. Still, this problem remains one of the most important and largely determines the modern Russia. Coming up next, see part of a conversation between Viktor Astafyev, a famous Soviet writer, and Georgy Jonov, a famous Soviet actor. I was lucky to have Mr. Jonov cross my path. He really was a deep kind of person. He didn't participate in the war as he got under repressions twice. He had actually been in prison since 1939 to 1945, but special agents thought that wasn't enough, so he got under repressions for the second time and had been in prison since 1949 to 1954. He was later acquitted and even awarded with a prize by the KGB for his role in a Soviet spy movie. Still, he remained a straight and sincere person until the end. He wasn't afraid to speak of what was on his mind. And I'm quite sure that he would tell all those hoodlums where to get off with their victory madness today. He would never take part in their propagandist freak parades. Viktor Astafyev is without a doubt a significant figure. He volunteered to go at war. He fought on the first Ukrainian front in Poland. Today is actually his day, and of such people as he was. He has the right to tell about the war even after he's gone. It's not up to us, but up to him. Viktor Astafyev, coming up right next. 3 million Soviet soldiers surrendered during the first summer at war. What kind of heroism are they talking about? That was nothing of a fantasy or a tale. Not even a Satan can imagine something as awful as we saw at that war. I saw people dying. Some of them were dying in agony, torn apart by a shell. The first person in our squad to get killed was our commander. He was a tall guy with a curly hair. So one day we located our gun at position and opened fire. That was when he picked up the phone to give a command to someone. He had lots of duties as a commander. So Germans made a shot. We were in a gully covered with wildflowers in bloom. Apple trees were also blooming. It all seemed quite safe until the shell pieces got into us. We all lay down. And then I saw him standing on one knee. Soon he began leaning aside and finally fell down. "Comrade Captain," we said, "are you okay?" But he was out cold by that time. We inspected him carefully and first couldn't see no wounds. But then we noticed a thin trickle of blood coming out of his temple to his chest. That was it. A tiny piece of shell was enough to kill that handsome guy. Unlike him, there were others whose faces were torn apart, their tongues were ripped off, and so were their legs. Still they were able to scream their heads off. They were choking with blood, laying in mud. Some of those wounded were still trying to crawl, following the rest, begging not to leave them behind. But we all knew that it was every man for himself. Still we'll try to make friends with a man or two to support each other in need. So there was a guy I met when I arrived to the Far East military unit. We got into a fight on the first night. I used some technique I learned from the orphanage. That was how our friendship began. I punched his face. And later on I dragged him away from the battlefield after he got hit. We fought in Poland, and they left him behind wounded. I saw his squad and asked them if they had seen my friend. They said he got shot and was left on the battlefield. I asked where exactly they left him and found him right at the spot. So I dragged him away from there. I found a short video featuring Yuri Nikulin, a legendary Soviet comedian and circus clown. That footage was also made back in the day. Yuri Nikulin is in fact a veteran. He fought at Leningrad front. He was in the military until May 1946. I value my personal history with Yuri Nikulin as well. There was a time when our paths crossed, but that was a different story, which was also lots of fun. When I first met him, I was impressed by his talent of turning any topic he would discuss into humor. The topic didn't actually matter. He could discuss something totally serious and even tragic, the way that wouldn't let me keep from smiling. Then I would say to myself, he's talking about some serious matters, stop laughing. Coming up next, see Yuri Nikulin telling about the war. Let me tell you the story of at least 20 people's lives saved thanks to their sense of humor that happened back in winter 1942 and sure didn't get to know our official outlets, as such stories were banned. A recon squad of Soviet skiers was on a mission the other night. They had to secretly pass through the line of contact while the rest of the troops were distracting the enemy with a sort of attack. Then the skiers had to approach deep inside enemy's positions and to accomplish the mission. So the group was covertly moving down a secret road in the woods when they ran into a similar squad of Germans who showed up from around the corner. None of them expected that to happen, so after a minute of confusion, Germans took cover to the left of the road, and Soviets to the right. Everyone kept quiet all the time, so they all lay down and kept quiet. And there was a fat guy among the Germans who got confused so much, he took his cover on the wrong side by mistake. So in a while Germans began calling him, "Hans, where the hell are you?" So our soldiers found that guy and kicked him out of the trench to the side. And while Hans was on his flight, it must have scared the hell out of him. And he farted so loudly in the silence of that winter forest. So when he landed to the trench, the Germans were splitting their sides laughing, and so were the Soviets. They were laughing for around a minute, as far as I was told. They split guts, but then they turned quiet again as they came back to the severe reality. They all realized they were soldiers at war. So, without further negotiations, they passed by each other quietly and didn't come into no conflict. They laughed together for a moment and enhanced their relationship. They were unable to shoot each other from that same moment. I would like to end the show with a short video sent from Shia Ecology protest camp. The people staying there nowadays are similar to those at war. They're fighting for their land. They're fighting against the invaders who are trying to turn their native land into a dump yard. They are fighting against turning their land into a toxic enclave. I'm not sure of whether I should name them heroes, but they are in fact some of the most decent people in today's Russia. On this video they are sitting by the campfire and singing to the guitar. And you will hear a train passing by on the background. The train driver greets those people with the whistle of the locomotive. Still, I believe that people like them make the locomotive for our country. That locomotive is what takes the civil society in Russia to its future. Thanks to such people, there is still a hope. that it may not be over yet. Having this hope in my heart, let me now say goodbye to you. Take care of yourselves, stay healthy, and make sure to watch Sotnik-TV.